Hello again. This is Drew Green, and I'm here to show you a more practical application of the brushes in the Drew Green's Cartooning Brushes January 2015 edition brush pack, which is on sale at gumroad.com/drewgreen. Um, this video is done in Adobe Photoshop CS6, and like I said, it shows more practical applications of most of the brushes in the pack instead of just samples. It'll be a quick illustration, but it'll still be fun and helpful, I hope. Um, for this one, we're going to start with the last brush on the list, the one that's called the rough boarding brush, and I'm just going to sketch out a quick image. This time I'm going to do kind of a silly monkey in front of a mountain. Haven't really planned the image out beforehand, but that's not a big deal. It doesn't need to be my best work. Okay, just drawing his eyes and his cute little nose and a little tuft of hair and a little smile. And let's draw in a mountain and some trees or bushes or whatever those are. Yeah, alright. And plan out some clouds. Alright, so we've got our sketch. Lower the opacity of that. We're going to lower it to 20%. Now let's ink the monkey. I'm going to name that layer inks. For inking, I like to use my the first brush on the list called the ink pen, which makes sense. For this image, I'm gonna go to let's go to about, I guess, 19. Why not? And yeah, you generally want to be kind of quick with your strokes, just so everything's very clean. There's not a lot of pressure sensitivity to this brush, so it won't be too wonky across the actual line itself. Won't have a lot of wobbliness to your line, or shouldn't, once you get used to it. And as you'll see at the tip of the strokes, it's very rounded and simple looking. So yeah, let's just ink our monkey friend here. Cute little nose, cute little smile. Well, if we can, there we go. Alright. Okay. And you really shouldn't even worry about the border here, because I'm just going to crop the image, so I don't need to erase any of the lines that go outside of my little border. Alright. Now, let's color our monkey, and we're gonna make a layer folder for the monkey. We're gonna name it monkey. We're gonna name the color layer colors. Alright. And let's see, let's make him a blue. Yeah, let's make him a blue monkey, because that's more fun than just a regular colored monkey. And this is still the same brush that I was using to ink. It's still the ink brush. Realistically, you could actually do a whole character, and I often do a whole character shading, inking, colors with that brush. Oh, uh-oh, no, I accidentally opened the help. Oh well. Okay, let's give him a cute peach face. Oh, there we go. And let's use our soft our airbrush to add some blush to him. And I want to give him a blue nose because I think that's cute. I'm gonna make a new layer for his eyes. And again, still just using the standard ink brush, the ink pen. Shade him. And I made a shading layer above the base colors layer for my monkey. And let's shade him with sort of a bluish color. Made a shading layer above it, set it to multiply, and when you hit Control G after making a layer above another one, it'll allow you to make a layer mask, which or I guess something of a clipping mask, which will let you draw and not have it go outside of the bounds of whatever is on the layer underneath it, if that makes sense. Sometimes I'm not so great at explaining things. It's probably good enough for shading. I'm going to make that a little more colorful though. There we go. Okay. I'm going to do the same for the actual lines of the monkey, because I want to darken the color of his ear line and his nose. Okay. And heck, why not? Why not his mouth too? That'll be cute. There we go. Okay. And a layer for eye shines, which goes above the inks layer. Alright, our monkey is done. And now our background. Make a new layer folder for our background. And we're going to make a layer for the sky, the background trees, clouds, mountain, and foreground trees. Okay. Now for our trees, what I like to do is I like to take the big sponge brush, lower the opacity to about, we're going to do about 50% this time, and just sponge in those trees like so. Alright. Let's get the opacity, or the flow, back to 100%. If I said opacity before, I meant flow. Now we're going to lay down a base color for our mountain. Nothing too fancy. Okay. Now we want to do our background trees, where we'll go real light colored with those. Use our big sponge brush again. Lower the flow to, let's do about 7. Yeah, that works. That looks good. Okay. And for our clouds, I don't want to do the clouds yet. Let's just put in base color for our sky. Okay, and now our clouds, which I'm going to use my rough ink pen for that as well, just like I did for the mountains. Make sure to set your flow back to 100. And just draw in your clouds. Good enough. That looks good. Okay, now we're going to go back to our trees and we're going to make a layer above our trees. Call it shade. Press Ctrl G to make a layer mask. We're going to use our gouache brush. Lower the opacity to around 50. And pick a color that's a little darker than the trees, the base color. I'm going to go even a little lighter than that. And just brush that in. I usually like to do my gouache brush in a straight line. Kind of makes it look very graphic. I'll lower the opacity of that layer. Okay. Now the mountain, we're going to do the same, but this time we're going to do a highlight layer, which is what I'm going to call it. Just pick the color of your sky blue and brush it in like so, and lower the opacity to, I'm going to do 20, yeah. Now I'm going to do a snow layer on top of that on the same mountain, and I'm going to use my marquee tool to select some sort of pointy shapes for the peak. Just kind of real graphic and triangular, cool. Okay, and I'm going to use my pencil tool and use my gouache brush just to brush into that, kind of some, not with all your pressure, just enough to leave a little bit of texture. And I'm going to lower the opacity of that to actually let's leave it at 100. It's kind of interesting looking. Alright. You can kind of leave your background trees alone. Those don't need to look super fancy. With our clouds, we're going to shade those by going back to brush mode. And I say, let's use our textured paintbrush. Get the color of our sky, and then just sort of shade with that. I'm going to lower the flow down to 7%, just to make it a little rougher. And that's good enough. It's the only one that really needs it, I suppose. And then I just lower the opacity of that to about 50. And finally, let's go above all of our layers, including our monkey. I'm going to call this glow. I'm going to select my sky color and use my airbrush and just, get that flow all the way to the top. Just brush all over where the sky is, and even the background trees, because those are not very detailed. Okay, and let's lower the opacity of that to 50%. Let's try screen. There we go. Oh, and on my trees, on my foreground trees, I'm going to add little flowers. Assuming this will work, I don't know, we'll see. Little flowers with my Sparks and Spikes brush. well, it's interesting. For the sake of the tutorial, I will leave that in. Okay. I am going to add some lines to my background layer as well. So just to give it that kind of really cartoony look, I'm going to use my rough pen for this. And I say, let's lower the opacity to, actually no, let's just keep it full. Okay. And the size, go down to 7 for this. Okay, some shapes on the mountain. Actually, I don't like the shapes. Don't like the shapes on the mountain. It's important to edit yourself. It's also important to save often, which I haven't done, but that's not a big deal. And yeah, that's my image. That's the practical application of a lot of these brushes. I'm going to go ahead and crop that, and so we can see that a little better. And yeah, that's how you use the brushes that are in the Drew Green's Cartooning Brushes January 2015 edition brush set, available at gumroad.com/drewgreen. You can find me at drew-green.tumblr.com, and you can find me on Twitter at King of Safari, and feel free to message me on there with any questions you might have. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.